Welcome back to today's episode of Kingdom Entrepreneur, a podcast for business owners and leaders who are committed to living life God's way, to building a business that's based on faith, where you love God, and serve others. Today is a solo episode, and I'm talking about building it without losing it. Let me ask you a hard question. If your business doubled tomorrow, would your life get better or would it implode? More revenue, that's the dream. More responsibility, that sometimes is the nightmare. More pressure, you're already under plenty of pressure. More decisions, more payroll. Would you feel peace? Or would you feel panic? Here's what I've discovered after nearly 40 years in business and 35 years of developing leaders and leadership coaching. Most Christian entrepreneurs are not burning out because of growth. They're burning out because of how they're building. The issue isn't ambition, it's alignment. The issue isn't scale, it's structure. The issue isn't success, it's construction, building your business the right way. You don't need to rise to the level of your ambition, you rise to the level of your blueprint, of the way you build your business. Today, I want to introduce you to something I call the builder's blueprint. It's 5 pillars that determine whether your business scales with peace or collapses under pressure. I work all the time with kingdom entrepreneurs, startups to 100 million plus in revenue. The largest client is doing $185 million in annual revenue. And here's what I consistently see. Business owners, leaders who love God, who want to lead well, who want to provide not just for their families, but for the families of the people that God has brought into their business. They want impact. They really want to make a difference in the marketplace and in the lives of their team and in their families, but they also want margin. And so often they feel like those things are in competition with each other. It's not possible to do all of them. In fact, sometimes they feel like it's not possible to do more than 1 or 2 of them, and they feel overwhelmed. It's not because they lack drive. It's because they never designed the business around the life God called them to live. Most entrepreneurs design a business, then they try to fit their life into it, and that's exactly backwards. So today I want us to fix it. And it starts with, again, 5 pillars. Pillar 1 is the foundation. It is identity and alignment. No builder. If you're building a home, you don't start with drywall. You don't put the roof on. You start with the foundation. And in business, the foundation is identity. Not the business's identity, your identity. So let me ask you a question. Who are you? And our tendency, it happens all the time. You meet someone, you introduce yourself, you give them your name, you get their name, and then what's the next question so often? What do you do? It's easy for us to define ourselves by our doing, not our being. To put people in a box, to either raise them up or lower them, to see them in a certain way, but also not just others, to do it to ourselves. And so if we're going to build a foundation that first is identity, then it's important to know who you are. I am, and you fill in the. Since you're watching this, listening to it, you're a kingdom-minded person, your identity comes from the God who made you, not from what you do. It comes from what God says about you, not what you accomplish. It comes from what the truth of God, not what other people have said and you've even believed to be true. The second question is, whose are you? Do you really belong to God? Have you given your life? In the words of Romans chapter 12, are you presenting your body as a living sacrifice to God that is both holy and pleasing? Whose are you? And whose is the business? Is it really God's? I catch myself even saying, after years and years of believing this, I still catch myself saying, my business is really God's. My life, no, His business has been entrusted to me. This life is His and has been entrusted to me. Who are you? Whose are you? And why are you building? It's easy for us as entrepreneurs to wrap up our identity in revenue. I generate this much income, this much top line, this much gross or net. And the difference is how much gross you have. It's gross when you find out how little you net. Your identity can be tied up in recognition. What other people see and say about you, your perception of their perception of you. Our identity can easily be about comparison. Well, comparison with our past. My company's growing. My revenue's increasing. My opportunities are more and more and more. Or I'm doing better than so-and-so, someone else in the same field or a field that's like ours. And so my identity is I'm beating you. It's on winning. I won this bid. I won this job. I won this opportunity. I won this award. Sometimes our identity is in being needed. I'm really important. My employees need me. My customers need me. And it's easy to get caught up in all of those things, but it was never meant to be that way. Because that way, the business becomes your savior. Here's the truth. You don't have to have a business life and a spiritual life. In fact, you can't really have two separate lives. You have one life, and it either belongs to God or it doesn't. You are either being led by the Spirit of God or some other spirit. And so if the business disappeared tomorrow, would you still know who you are? I also get to coach a lot of business owners who are right at the end of their career. They're selling, and I've already talked to some and coached some through. They sold, got the exit that everybody talks about, and they got on the other side of it, and they don't know who they are. They don't know what they do. They even lose a reason to get up in the morning because the business became their purpose. Kingdom builders anchor their identity in the nature of God and in stewardship, not status. You are not an owner, you are a steward. And the shift alone, that shift alone relieves enormous pressure. It belongs to God because now the scorecard changes. It's about faithfulness, not your ego. It's not applause. It's about calling, not competition. Burnout often begins when identity gets poured into something that cannot hold it. So the first pillar and the first application for you is fix the foundation first. What is your identity? And then align your business with what God says and Him owning it. The second pillar is a framework of vision and design. No construction project, no good construction project begins without blueprints. Let me illustrate it this way. I've worked with a lot of couples, and they spent more time planning the wedding than they did planning the marriage. A lot of business owners do a whole lot more work starting the business than they do actually running the business. And so without a blueprint, most businesses grow accidentally. They chase opportunities very often. They react instead of respond. They're reactive instead of proactive. And they expand because they can, not because they should. And eventually chaos sets in. Vision answers 4 questions. What are we actually building? That's the first one. Who are we actually called to serve? That's the second one. Third, what does success look like? I remember 2008 or 9 feeling like I had won. And all those goals that I'd set for myself, even the ones that were like, I don't know if this is even possible, but I'm going to set it and I'm going to work for it. I'd succeeded at all those things, and yet I still felt so empty. And I was convinced finally that I had the wrong scoreboard. I had a scoreboard that I'd inherited. I had a scoreboard that had been given to me by others, but it wasn't what real success means to me. If you've not stopped and done that, pause this, pull over, get out a piece of paper, and actually say, what are the things that are most important to me? What does success look like to you? And then don't forget this. And maybe you already got that. What does success look like at home? You see, you can still hit revenue goals and miss the life you were called to live. It is easy for us to make a living and forget to make a life. And so that's the tragedy. If your business grows but your marriage shrinks, that's not success. If your revenue increases but your peace decreases, that's not success. Clarity reduces chaos. When vision is clear, decisions simplify, delegation improves, focus sharpens, and pressure decreases. I want to say that again because it's so important. If you're taking notes, write this down. If you're not taking notes, start. I want to give you some things of real value that will make a difference in the way you live your life and run your business. When vision is clear, decisions simplify. All the time saying, oh, I need to start that business, or I could buy that business, I could do it better. But not every opportunity that comes my way is my opportunity. And so decisions are simplify what I should do or shouldn't, what I will do and what I won't. But also decisions in the business, in the way I lead my team, in the way I serve customers. Decisions are simplified when the vision is clear. Second, delegation improves. I am very clear on what I want other people to do and how they can do it. And when I give them that clarity, they're able to perform in a better way. Third, focus sharpens. This may be one of the biggest challenges of our generation. We live in a constantly distracted and distracting world. If you just stop and look how many text messages, emails, and phone calls you've received in the last 24 hours, it might depress you, or it might make you want to close your computer and turn off your phone. And then if you think about the number of times in a day someone says, hey, have you got a minute? Or they just pop in and don't even ask. I need this. I've got this problem. This is going on. And so when vision is clear, focus sharpens. And then fourth, pressure decreases. It is so common for business owners to live under the gun. And if you're overwhelmed right now, chances are that you're working too hard. We've thought, I just have to work harder. And then somebody says, no, work smarter, not harder. And you go, I must not be smart enough to do that because it just seems like the more my business grows, the harder I have to work to manage it. And you find yourself with this. You may be building something you never intentionally designed, and you don't like the way it's turning out. The third pillar is structure. It's leadership and capacity. Here's what usually happens. Revenue outpaces leadership. Opportunity outruns maturity. Your business grows too fast. And I say it all the time. I think I learned it from Vern Harnish, who says growth sucks, and growth primarily sucks cash. It is possible, and I've seen so many companies grow too quickly. There were so many opportunities, and what ends up happening is the business chokes on getting too big too fast. And if your growth, your revenue outpaces your leadership, it is the recipe for disaster. If your opportunity outruns your personal maturity and the maturity of your leadership team, you're going to have trouble. When growth expands faster than your systems, there's going to be trouble. It is the recipe for disaster. John Maxwell, one of my mentors, talks about the law of the lid, and he says the leader is always the lid because leadership is a multiplier. And so when you're the leader, everything, every decision, every action has to come through you. You've got to sign off. You've got to give your input. Then you hold the whole team, whatever level you are, you hold them down because you've become the lid. And then leadership is a multiplier. When your leadership level is 1, whatever effort you give is multiplied by 1, and that's you. And you get the exact same output. That's not synergy. Leadership, as your leadership grows, it becomes a multiplier. You move up just a little bit and you become a 2 as a leader. You lead better. You lead your teammates well, and now you've got a 2 multiplier. But if you go all the way up to 10, and I don't know that you ever get to perfect, but if you get to a 9, then you multiply by 9. This is where you get real scaling. And so your leadership determines your ceiling. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot scale what you refuse to release. So many business owners, it's like they're riding a horse, a thoroughbred that is built to run. They've got a business that has incredible opportunities, but they're pulling back on the reins because they want to control everything. Many entrepreneurs are exhausted because they're still doing $20 an hour decisions at a $2 million level. I'll share with you a story from my own experience of that. I learned it the hard way. It's why it's so important to me. I had several businesses going, really doing well at all of them, while also being a real estate investor. And I had some apartments. One day, a tenant calls and the water heater's not working. I called up the plumber and I was blown away by I knew what the water heater cost, and I didn't mind him adding a little bit on there, but his labor, I thought, that's crazy. So I just decided I would run down during the lunch hour, grab a water heater, go install it, and everything would be great. And I would save that $250 installation fee. Now I know you plumbers are like, 250. Well, this was a long time ago. Then it felt like a whole lot more. Since I'm not a professional at it, since I don't do it every day, it didn't go well. It took a lot longer than it should have taken. It was a lot harder than it should have been. And I got a lot dirtier, hot, sweaty dirt from the water heater. I was filthy. Came back to my office, and my uncle, who was one of my early mentors in business, came in. He says, what have you been doing? And I told him the story. And he just shook his head. And as he walked out of the door, he said, Ray, you got to be you. And he said it, sometimes people say something in just the right way. And I said, what'd you say? He said, you got to be you. And I said, okay, I don't know what you mean by that, but I feel like I need to know. And he turned around and he said, Ray, how much money are you making an hour right now? And I'd actually just done my financials, so I knew pretty closely. And I shared the amount with him. And he said, and you just spent 2 hours trying to save $250 an hour. You went to $125 an hour when you were making this much. That's not a very good trade. It'd be a lot better for you to keep making this much money and pay that guy $250 an hour. Plus, the way you look and the way you smell and your attitude, you're probably not going to make that the rest of the day. But you be you. You got to be you. Do it your way. Do you know how many water heaters I've changed since then? In over 20 years, not a single one. I learned the lesson. And yet it's easy for entrepreneurs to do well, I can do it. I can take care of it. It takes too long for me to teach someone, for me to train them the right way. But if you train them once or twice and then they do it from now on, that's so much better. And so structure answers these questions. Who owns what? Instead of delegating, what so many business owners do is they relegate it. I'm sick of it. I don't want to do it. And they just say, here, you take care of it. But they don't train their people. They don't tell them, here's what success looks like here. And here are the parameters. You can make these kind of decisions. You can spend this much money. And when they don't do that, they set them up for failure, and you set yourself up for frustration. And so it clarifies who owns what. It also clarifies what must I stop doing, because there's some things that are just not worth your time. And if you sacrifice the most important things, as Stephen Covey says, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And if you don't keep the main thing, but you take care of all the little stuff, you're going out of business. And the truth is, you deserve it. It also helps you to see what level of leadership is required next. Where am I? Where am I going? And where do I need to grow as a leader? And where do I need to develop my team or have someone come in and develop them? And then fourth, it also makes it really clear what accountability actually looks like. Here's the truth. You cannot hold anyone accountable. People, other coaches, I hear them talk about it all the time, but I do not believe you can hold someone accountable. You can hold them to their personal accountability. If someone on your team, and I think it's better for them to have a self-employed mindset and attitude than an employee. As Dave Ramsey says, employees show up late, they leave early, and they steal while they're there. But an owner is invested, they give their best, they're concerned about what's best for the company, and they work differently. And so it's important to have that kind of mindset and to change that. And so when that person takes accountability, says, I'm responsible for this, you can count on them to take care of it. But always remember this, the team won't respect what the leader doesn't inspect. And so if it's important to you for them to do it, you need to make sure that they're doing it the way you want to. I coach leaders all the time. When they're worried about, they're struggling about their team members, I ask them, do you trust the person? Do they have the ability, the capability? Do they have the capacity to do enough business? And then do they have the attitude to give you the quality that you really want and need, you require, and that the customers do. And if not, then you need to make a decision and help that person find a better opportunity. But if you trust them, then the second question is, have you trained them? And if you've not trained them, you don't have the right to be frustrated with them. If you've not invested in them and made it clear to them, this is what you do, this is how you do it, and this is what success looks like here, train them. And if you won't train them, then you need to fire yourself as a leader. You don't have the right to be frustrated. Going back to a previous point, if everything flows through you, you are not leading, you're bottlenecking. The bottleneck on every bottle is always at the top, and bottlenecks burn out. Scaling requires releasing control, and releasing control requires trust, and trust requires development, which means structure is not optional, it's oxygen. The fourth pillar is systems. It's about sustainability and stewardship. Here's what I see constantly. Companies are profitable, but fragile. They have strong revenue, but no one in the company has any margin at all. They don't have a minute to even think, much less plan, to improve, to reflect. They've got big opportunities, but no capacity. Christian entrepreneurs often pray and give and serve, but they don't build sustainable systems, and faith without wisdom creates strain. So your systems include financial clarity, operational clarity, schedule margin, healthy rhythms, and family protection. If revenue doubled tomorrow, would your calendar survive it? Would your marriage survive it? Would your kids or your grandkids, would your health survive it? Scaling without sustainability creates silent resentment, and resentment eventually becomes regret. And I know some of you listening and watching today regret the day you made a decision to start your own business or to become a leader. Kingdom builders design for endurance, not just expansion. And then finally, pillar 5 is you finish work. It's about legacy and multiplication. Great builders think beyond the current job, beyond the current moment. They think generationally. Legacy isn't about selling your business someday. I know it's become real popular. People talk about and think about, I want to scale, and I help all kinds of businesses scale. But my question is, why would you work so hard just to get an exit? Because if you've built a really great kingdom business, why not continue to serve, to minister that way? And building a legacy is about developing leaders, building culture, multiplying impact, and modeling faithfulness. If everything depends on you, you're not building legacy, you're building dependency. Multiplication is the goal, because success that dies with you was never true success. You just built yourself another job. So here's what I know. Burnout isn't caused by growth. It's caused by a cracked foundation, an undefined vision, weak structures, fragile systems, and no legacy plan. The builder's blueprint fixes those cracks before they become collapses. In following solo episodes, I'm going to break down each of those pillars more deeply. And I'm also developing a diagnostic tool that will help you see exactly where your blueprint is strong and where it's vulnerable. And if you'd like to get that diagnostic tool, then I encourage you to reach out. You can email me at ray@rayyoungspeaker.com, or you can go to my website, rayyoung.net, and you can get that blueprint, that tool, and find out where you are. Because growth without alignment is just accelerated regret. So let me leave you with this. If your business succeeded beyond your expectations, your marriage, your health, your kids, your peace, anything that's important to you, would it be worth it? The truth is, you can build a great, successful business God's way, and it doesn't have to cost you everything. Let's build it right. And it may be that you say, Ray, I don't want to wait till the next time you do a solo episode. Well, I've got the perfect tool for you. It's best in person, but I've got a new group starting in person in Lubbock, and you can join it virtually if you'd like to do that. Or if you'd like to find out more about who I serve and how I serve, I'd love for you to do that. At Kingdom Entrepreneur, It's very, very clear, and I want to make it clear to you that it is His kingdom, but it's your calling. This is a place for people who believe that they were made for more and that God wants more for your life and more through your life to really be a blessing to many people. If you like today's episode, I encourage you to share it. Go to Apple, to Spotify, to YouTube. And if you've not subscribed, please do that and share it with your friends. And remember, you can make a difference today. You were built for more. Have a great day.